everyone, and welcome back to Kardec Radio for Teens. For those of you who don't know, Kardec Radio for Teens is a place where teens can come together with other teens to learn about Spiritist teachings and topics in a way that's more relatable and makes more sense to us as teenagers in today's society. So last week, when reading the Spirits book together, we got to the point where we were talking about how spirits are influencing our everyday lives, whether in nature, whether what we're doing, and anything in between. So we left off right at the beginning of the section titled Spirits During Battle. So that's where we'll start off today, with question 541. During battle, are there spirits who assist in or aid each of the forces in the fight? So during a battle, are there spirits that are helping each side? And the spirits answered, yes, and who stimulate their courage. So what they're saying here is that yes, there are these spirits during battle who help each side, and they also stimulate their courage. So they give these people courage to continue. And then Allan Kardec puts his own comment in, and he says, thus, the ancients represented the gods as taking the side of this or that people. Such gods were nothing more than spirits represented by allegorical figures. So what they're saying here is that in ancient times, people would say that, oh, this god helped us win, or this god let us lose, or something like that. So we know that when they were saying this in ancient times, these gods they're referring to were really just spirits that were helping them. Question 542. In war, justice is always on only one side. How can spirits support the other that is wrong? So in war, there's always a right side and a wrong side. So they're saying, so how can the spirits support the wrong side? And the spirits answered, you know perfectly well that there are spirits who seek only discord and destruction. For them, war is war. The justness of the cause means little to them. So, of course, just because there's spirits helping that side doesn't mean it's good spirits helping that side. So it might just be spirits who like war and they don't care what the cause is. They just are ready to help the people fight. Question 543. Can certain spirits influence generals in the conception of their plans for a particular campaign? So they're saying, so now can spirits directly influence what the people are going to do, what the general wants to do? And the spirit said, absolutely. Spirits can influence them in this as in all conceptions. So yeah, they can influence them a lot for every little decision, basically. Question 544. Can evil spirits suggest faulty plans to them in order to lead them to defeat? So can evil spirits try and get you to do something bad so that you're not going to win? So can they, although they're supposed to be helping you, can they make you lose? And the spirit said, yes, but don't they have free will? If their judgment does not enable them to distinguish a good idea from a bad idea, they will suffer the consequences and would do better at obeying than commanding. So what they're saying is that, yes, there could be spirits who are trying to tell you a bad idea so you actually end up losing. But technically, the person who's listening, whoever's getting this idea, they have free will. They should know, or they should be trying to distinguish good ideas from bad ideas instead of just listening to every thought that comes to their head. And if they can't distinguish good ideas from bad ideas, then maybe it wasn't meant for them to win. Question 545. Can generals sometimes be guided by a type of second sight, an intuitive perception that shows them the results of their strategy beforehand? So, can spirits help them in a way of kind of showing them what's about to happen or what might happen or what's happening right now beforehand? And the spirit said, that is frequently what happens with geniuses. It is what they call inspiration, and it enables them to act with a type of certainty. This inspiration comes to them from the spirits who guide them and who use the faculty with which such individuals have been endowed. So So when this happens, it's like an inspiration for them. So let's say like geniuses. So geniuses, they get this inspiration for an idea. And they kind of know, there's a little part of them that knows that this idea is going to work. Or there's a little part of them that knows that this idea is a good idea that should be tried out and needs to be tried out. So it's this little inspiration that's guiding them. Question 546. In the heat of combat, what happens to the spirits of those who die? Are they still interested in the battle after death? So now we're talking about in a battle, what happens to those spirits who just died right there? Those corporeal bodies, so let's say those humans who just died, what happens to their spirits now? And the spirits answered, some continue to be interested, others withdraw. So some stick around to keep an eye on the battle, to keep seeing what's happening because they're still interested in it. But some of them, once they die, they're over that situation. They withdraw from being interested. And then Allan Kardec puts his own comment in, and he says, the same thing happens in combat as occurs in all cases of violent death. At first, such spirits are surprised and bewildered. They do not believe they are dead, and they think that they are still taking part in the action. It is only little by little that the reality imposes itself on them. So it's the same as any kind of violent death that happens all of a sudden. So the spirits are kind of surprised and they don't really realize that they're dead. And then little by little they start to realize. Question 547. After death, do the spirits of those who had fought each other while alive still regard one another as enemies and continue to be hostile towards each other? So they're saying, so now these spirits died. The corporeal body died, and now the spirits, they fought each other. They used to be enemies. Are they still going to be enemies up in the spirit world, or are they like over that already? And the spirits answered, in such moments, spirits never calm. At first, they may still hate their enemy and even pursue them, but when they regain their composure, they see that their animosity no longer has any motive. Nevertheless, they may retain great or less traces of it, depending on their character. So, usually right in the heat of the moment, the spirit will have that with them, because it's like they're still not separated from that human life that they just had, so they will have that kind of like hatred of, oh, that's my enemy or stuff. But eventually, when they start seeing, they'll realize that, oh, we were fighting for something that's really not important and it really doesn't matter. And then they'll realize that it's kind of dumb to still be mad about that. But depending on the spirit, depending on their evolution, depends on how much they're going to be attached to this hatred or how much they're not going to be attached to it. And then there's a second part to this question, and it says, do they still hear the din of the battle? So do they still hear about the battle and the battle? Because we know that in these battles, it's very loud and chaotic. So they're saying, so are they still hearing this? And the spirits answered, yes, perfectly. So they are perfectly hearing this battle still, and all this noise and chaos. Question 548. Do spirits who calmly watch a battle as spectators witness the separation of souls from bodies? How does this phenomena appear to them? So now we're talking about, so let's say that there's this battle going on. Let's say in the corporeal world, let's say on Earth, and there's this battle going on, and then there's spirits who are in the spirit world, and they're just watching the battle. They're just like, it's like if you go to see a football game and they're watching, it's like they're just watching this battle. So can they see that when all these people die, can they see their spirits like leaving the body? Like, how does that work? And the spirits answered, very few deaths are truly instantaneous. Most of the time, a spirit whose body has been mortally wounded is not aware of it at the time. Only when consciousness begins to return to the spirit be seen moving beside its corpse. This appears so natural that the sight of the dead body lying there does not produce any disagreeable effect. All life have been transferred into the spirit. Only the spirit attracts attention, and it is the spirit to whom spectators converse, or to whom they give orders. So they're saying, so right here they're saying, so usually these deaths, they aren't quick. It's not like someone gets shot and then their spirit immediately leaves their body, because we know that usually it takes a while before that wound actually kills you. And then it takes a while for that spirit to become conscious and start realizing and start moving and stuff. So when this does happen, though, it seems very natural to the spirits because they probably see this all the time. So it's just kind of something natural that happens, and they just see that now the spirit has full control. And now that they see that the spirit has everything, has all the life of, it's not split with the body or it's not entrapped in the body, then those spirits who are watching, they start rather talking with the spirit and trying to like help them in some way, or they start giving orders. And now that was the end of that section, so we're going to move on to the next section still within this chapter, and this one's titled Pacts. And when we're talking about pacts, we're talking about an agreement between individuals. Question 549. Is there any kind of truth to pacts being formed with evil spirits? So is it true that evil spirits, they form little agreements amongst themselves? And the spirits answered, no, there are no such pacts. However, an evil nature may attune to evil spirits. For example, you want to torment your neighbor, but you don't know how to proceed. Thus, you call low-order spirits who, like you, desire only evil. In return for their help, they want you to help them with their own evil design. However, this does not mean that your neighbor cannot be freed from them by an opposing appeal or by an action of the will. Those who desire to commit an act of evil simply for the sake of committing evil call evil spirits to their aid, and then become obliged to serve them in return, because these spirits need them for the evil they themselves desire to do. It is only in this that a pact is consistent. So here what they're saying is there's no pacts among evil spirits, but they do kind of have a thing that if I do something for you, you have to do something for me, because these evil spirits are at a lower level, so they don't know how to give without receiving. So if they're giving something, if they're helping you with something, then they want to receive something too. They want you to help them with something. So that's the only way where pacts really play in, but other than that, they don't have a lot of these agreements. And of course, this is just by being in tune with these people, because if you're at this evil level and you're thinking these bad things, then they're going to be attuned to those thoughts and they're going to be attracted to you. And then Allan Kardec puts his own comment in, and he says, the fact that persons sometimes find themselves dependent on low-order spirits proceeds from their delivering over to evil thoughts that such spirits suggest to them, and not from any kind of stipulation made between them. A pact, in the usual sense of the word, is an allegory that portrays an evil nature sympathizing with equally wicked spirits. So sometimes when it seems like these people can't do anything besides listen to these evil spirits, so it seems that everything they do, it has to be based off what the evil spirit said. It's not that they have this agreement. It's not that they have a pact that this person needs to be doing that, this person needs to be with the evil spirits. But if this person is thinking evil thoughts and they're attracting this sort of thing, then the evil spirits are gonna be attracted to them, and that's what's gonna be connecting them, not like a pact. The evil spirits weren't like, oh, you have to do this and this and this. And it wasn't like an agreement, but it's just being in harmony with these people will keep you constantly in tune with them. Question 550. What is the meaning of the fantastic fables according to which certain individuals have sold their soul to Satan in exchange for certain favors? So here they're asking, so there's been lots of stories, and I think we still see them today, where they have these fictions, these fables, where people sell their soul to Satan because they want something. So here they're asking, so what's the point of this? Why does this happen? What is the meaning of this? What can we take away from this? And the spirits answered, All fables contain a teaching and a moral. Your error is in taking them literally. This one is an allegory that may be explained like this. Those who call evil spirits to help them obtain the gifts of fortune or any other favor rebel against providence. They renounce the missions they have received and the trials they must undergo in this world, but they will reap the consequences of it in the life to come. This does not mean their soul is condemned to suffer forever. However, instead of detaching themselves from matter, they immerse themselves deeper and deeper in it. The joys they have preferred on earth will no longer be available to them in the spirit world, until they atone for their wrongs through new trials that will perhaps be even greater and more painful. Out of love for material pleasures, they place themselves under the power of impure spirits. Hence, they tactically establish a mutual pact which leads them to ruin, but which will always be easy for them to break with the assistance of good spirits if they firmly desire to do so. So the first thing they say here is that all of these stories, they contain something that you can learn from. There's always a point of you learning something from it. But the problem is that we're not supposed to take them literally. They're just stories to help us understand. So it's like what we're doing right now. We're putting these words into words that we can understand. So sometimes words that people can understand are little stories. So people put these messages in little stories so that we can learn from them in a simpler way. But that does not mean we should be taking them literally, like these people are actually selling their soul to Satan. So we should not be taking them literally, but there is something to learn from it. So one thing that we learn from this is that these people who, of course we know that they're not actually selling their soul to Satan, but these people who are aligning themselves with evil spirits or asking evil spirits for help for bad things, like they want more money or they want power, they want fame. So they're going against what's supposed to happen, and although in this life they may get that money, they may get that power, and they may be happy in this life, eventually they are going to pay the consequences for this, and they're going to pay the consequences for it until they get better and get past this. But also a key point to remember is that they always will get past it. There will be moving on, there will be getting past it. It might take a really long time, but they will get better at some point. And when they are ready to be helped, when they want to be helped, good spirits will be there to help them. But until then, they're just kind of attracting these evil spirits to help them get greedy things like power and money. And then when they keep asking these evil spirits, these impure spirits, when they keep asking them for things, then of course we go back to that thing where if they did something for you, they want something in return. So then you're kind of living under this influence of them all the time because you're so in tune with them. You're really living under this negative influence of them. But of course, when you do decide that you want to get better, the good spirits will be there to help. So now we're on to the next section, which is titled Occult Powers, Talisman, and Sorcerers. So all of these things are referring to supernatural powers and supernatural people like wizards and stuff like that. Question 551. Can evil individuals, with the aid of evil spirits to whom they are devoted, cause harm to their neighbors? So they're saying, so there's an evil individual, and now they're asking the evil spirits for help. The evil spirits are helping them. Can they cause harm to someone else? And the spirits answered, no, God would not permit it. So quite simply, they said that no, God wouldn't let that happen. Question 552. What is to be thought of the belief that certain individuals can cast spells? So what do we think about these people who can cast spells or think they can cast spells? And the spirits answered, some persons possess a very strong magnetic power, which they may use for evil if their own spirit is evil. In this case, they could be aided by other evil spirits. But do not believe in the fake magical powers that exist only in the imagination of superstitious people who are ignorant and of the true laws of nature. The events they cite are natural events poorly observed, and above all, poorly understood. So what they're saying here is that sometimes when we see people casting spells or doing kind of magical things, then it could be just a person that has very strong magnetic power, and they're getting evil spirits to help them do these sort of things. But in these cases, they're being assisted by these evil spirits. And sometimes it might just be these evil spirits kind of messing with people, because these people who are believing all these crazy things, they don't have a better understanding. So maybe something that we know is just a natural phenomena, something that happens in nature, these people might be looking at it all wrong and thinking of it as some sort of magical thing, and they're not understanding it. So then comes these things of magic and spells, because they're not understanding what they're seeing, so they're inventing something. Question 553. What may be the effect of formulas and practices with which certain persons claim to control the wills of spirits? So they're saying here, so what might be happening, what might be causing it when people say that they control spirits, they control the will of spirits? And the spirits answered, that of making them look ridiculous if they are good faith. If not, they are rogues who deserve punishment. All such formulas are mere charlatanism. There is no sacramental word, no capitalist sign, no talisman that has any power over spirits, because they are only attracted by thoughts and not by material objects. So they're saying here that basically it's all fake, because there isn't a person who can control spirits, because there's no material objects involved. You're only attracted by thought. So there really isn't this control, and there's no magic, and there's none of these wizards that are allowing this to happen, that can do this. And then there's a second part to this question, and it says, haven't certain spirits sometimes dictated Kabbalist formulas? And Kabbalistic means relating to or associated with mystical interpretation. So haven't sometimes spirits dictated that it was some sort of mystical thing? And the spirits answered, yes, there are spirits who indicate signs and bizarre words to you, or who will prescribe certain acts to you with the help of those who aid you in performing what you call spellcasting. Nevertheless, you may be sure that these spirits are mocking you and abusing your credulity. So what they're saying is that, maybe there's some spirits that sound like they're doing this, or some people that sound like they're doing this with spirits' help. But these spirits are giving you bizarre things to say, and they're giving you signs, but all of this is fake. They're just playing along. Like we talked about, there's spirits who enjoy just messing with you, and these spirits aren't just messing with you. They're just mocking you and mocking that you believe in the stuff that they're saying. Question 554. Isn't it possible that those who rightly or wrongly trust in what they call the virtue of talisman may attract a spirit by such trust, since it is their thoughts that act, whereas the talisman is only a sign that helps to direct the thought? So a talisman is like a little object, a little something that people believe to have some sort of good luck or some sort of fortune or some sort of power in just this little object. So that's what the talisman is. So they're saying, so isn't it possible that those who have this little talisman, who they think has like power, can this attract spirits to come and kind of like mess with you? And the question is saying, because since you're connected by thought, you're attracting people by thought. So if you're thinking about the power of this talisman, maybe you can be attracting that thought to another spirit. And the spirits answered, that is the case, but the nature of the spirit attracted by such means depends on the purity of the intention and the level of sentiment. But it is rare for those who are simple enough to believe in the virtue of a talisman not to have a material object rather than a moral one. Whatever the case may be, this implies a narrowness and weakness of mind that gives access to imperfect and mocking spirits. So of course we know that the nature of the spirits that are attracted, so the spirits who are attracted, it's going to depend on the nature of the person, what the person's intentions are. If they're wanting this little power for bad things, they'll attract negative things. If they're just wanting it for good luck, it might not be that bad. But of course, no matter what, when spirits see that you have this belief in this little thing that's going to bring you luck or has power, then they see that there's some weakness of your mind and some narrowness, and that you're not that evolved and you don't know that much. So that does give access for imperfect spirits and mocking spirits to come and mess with you, because they see that you're not that evolved if you believe in that. So that's where we'll leave off today, and next week we'll continue talking about what sorcerers are. But before we leave off today, I'd like to finish with our message from the Daily Book of Positive Quotations by Linda Picone. The sharing of joy, whether physical, emotional, psychic, or intellectual, forms a bridge between sharers, which can be the basis for understanding much of which is not shared between them, and lessens the threat of their differences. We feel good about the people with whom we share good times, a joke, a great movie, an enjoyable trip. Sharing good times give us reasons to want to know others better, even if we have a lot of differences. Maybe we can vote for different candidates, live in different places, care about different things. Still, because we have done something joyful together, we are more willing to accept and respect our differences, rather than simply dismissing each other because we don't have much in common. The more opportunities I have to do enjoyable things with others, especially people I may not know well, the better I can understand those who are different from me. I'm Bia, and this has been Card Deck Radio for Teens. Thank you all for listening. This has been Card Deck Radio for Teens. Thank you all for listening.